Curses! I failed my English test. Again! How will I ever form grammatically correct sentences and articulate my thoughts clearly? And it's all because of those two darn dots!
Sounds like someone is having problems with their colons.
My colon? My doctor said everything was fine, but that I should go to checkups more often.
No, colons in grammar, the punctuation mark, what you were just talking about.
Oh yeah, those things. I guess I am struggling a bit.
Well, don't worry, you aren't the only one. The colon causes confusion for many. It is often confused with the semicolon, and grammarians can't seem to agree on whether and when to capitalize words that follow it. Luckily, I'm prepared to give you a thorough lesson. How does that sound?
Staying after school to study grammar sounds interesting, but let me just say in rebuttal, I'd rather be doing anything else, so I don't want to take up more of your time. Bye!
Please, sit down.
I said no, but you're doing it anyway.
The colon is one of the most mysterious and misunderstood marks of punctuation. I'll help demystify and clarify their function so that you can use them more accurately. So, first of all, what is a colon? A colon is described as a full stop that is meant to draw attention to the words that follow it. It is used to signal that what comes next is directly related to the previous sentence. It shouldn't be used interchangeably with a semicolon. The key difference is that a colon is used for a stronger, more direct relationship. It should provide emphasis, an example, or an explanation. Colons are also your only grammatical option when combining a complete sentence with a noun or a list. Colons can only be placed at the end of an independent clause.
I'm sorry, at the end of a what? Is that like Santa Claus or something?
An independent clause is simply a sentence that forms a complete thought. When it introduces a list, an appositive, or a quotation, you must place the colon before the words being introduced.
Wait, a positive? We talking blood types now?
An appositive is a word or words that rename a noun or a pronoun. When an appositive is introduced by an independent clause, you have to use a colon. Let's look at this sentence. People who work the night shift are typically deprived of essential sleep, an average of 9 hours a day. The independent clause precedes the appositive of an average of 9 hours a day, so we add a colon. Now, the words that follow an independent clause don't have to form an independent clause themselves, but remember, there must always be a complete sentence before the colon. Let's look at an example. If you really want to get good grades in school, you must do 3 things: study for tests, complete all the homework, and ask questions. The list is being introduced by a complete sentence, so a colon is required.
Seems straightforward. Thanks for all the help. I really appreciate.
However,
Oh, son of a gun!
when the lead-in words at the end of an independent clause are such as, including, like, or consists of, never use a colon. This is because phrases like these already indicate to the reader that a list of examples will follow. There is no need to introduce them with a colon, as it would be redundant. But when the lead-in words are the following or as follows, do use a colon. As for quotations, once again, it must be introduced by an independent clause. If it is not, then use a comma.
So, will that be all?
Hold on, we still have to go a little more in depth over misusing colons.
I just had to ask.
Avoid using a colon before a list if it directly follows a verb or a preposition, such as in, that would ordinarily need no punctuation in that sentence. A good way to test whether the colon is necessary is to remove it from the sentence and ask if it would still make sense. In the first example above, the answer is yes, that a colon would not make sense, so you should remove it. But in the final example, by removing the colon, it would cause confusion, so it needs to stay. A colon should never be used to separate a phrase or a dependent clause from an independent clause, otherwise you'll create the error known as sentence fragments. In this example, it would be wrong to write, after the drought ended, the farmers celebrated. This is because after the drought ended is a dependent clause. Usually you can tell because it is marked by a dependent marker word. In this case, it is after. As for capitalization rules, you should only consider capitalizing the first word after the colon if it is a proper noun or introduces an independent clause. If what follows a colon is just a sentence fragment, not an independent clause, then lowercase is needed. Please note that you should never capitalize the first word after a colon if it introduces a list. And that just about covers it.
Wow, that was pretty easy to understand. If only learning about other grammar rules could be this simple.
Well, if you're that unsure, there is still plenty more material we could cover. Apostrophes, periods, commas. It may take a while, but you'll see that it's not so hard once you grasp.
Oh, gotta run. Thanks for everything. Later.
Anyway, this concludes our lesson. I hope you learned something.
I know I certainly didn't.